Hello, my lovely little Titans. Welcome to another Hangout. I hope you guys had a great week. I know it's so weird. I actually was able to do it again this week. Quelle surprise. Me, I have been working, obviously. This is my last-ish week for my semester. Hi, Era. It's basically like the last week of assignments, and then there's a finals week, but most of my classes don't have a final, so like there's a final paper or something, but the final paper we do the week this week, so it's already kind of done. I've got a couple more things to do, and then I'm basically done with the week. If you guys notice any lag, any technical difficulty, please try to put it in chat. The only one who might see it is Wolf, and Wolf can message me directly via text and let me know that something is screwing up. Because for whatever reason, streaming on YouTube is very delayed. I don't get messages very often, like as they come. It's very, very delayed. So I will try to respond when I see them, but maybe a few minutes delayed. But if you are chatting, hello. Wow, spammed all the highs. Cool. If you send 500 what, Macy? If you do 500 hearts, I have no idea. If you do 500 messages, that's dedication. But I think it would be cool either way. Hello again, Jerry. I wonder how you'll know if you get to 500 of those. Maybe you'll go do 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 or some shit like that, like in Final Fantasy. That would be funny. It's like I didn't know you could earn badges on YouTube for doing shit on YouTube, but you can. And it's not for like being a creator or whatever. It's okay, what was it? Badges on YouTube. Thank you, Sophie. I appreciate that. Thank you guys for all the hearts and other little emojis. It's really cool to see. So what has everybody been up to? Is anybody seeing any new movies that have come out? I haven't really had much of a chance. I wanted to go see the new, old, whatever you want to call it, How to Train Your Dragon movie. I kind of wanted to see Fantastic Four. I was kind of on the fence on that. There's another one that's coming out that looks kind of funny. It's like Honey Don't or some Honey Don't Do It or something like that. It looks kind of amusing. I think that would be a fun one to go see. Otherwise, the first movie I'll see all year in theaters will be in November, and it'll be Wicked 2. We'll see. Hello, Mark. Hello, Julia. I mean, I don't know what your life is like. I'm not going to tell you to go to bed if you don't really need to, but, you know, might be the smart thing to do. Hello, Kadena. So many new people. I love seeing so many new people. This really is just like a kind of hangout chatting live stream. Cool, Kurt. Sounds awesome. But yeah, this is more just me hanging out with people and chatting. So if you guys want to talk about something, feel free to put it in the chat. Again, I experience technical difficulties a lot, just because of YouTube by nature. So if I don't see it right away, it's not because I'm ignoring it. It's because it just hasn't popped up yet. Awesome, Kadena. Thank you so much. That's really sweet of you. No sleep? Oh, Era. Oh, sweetie. Oh, sweetie. You should go to sleep then. That time I will tell you to go to sleep if you haven't had any. As crappy as my sleep schedule has been, I've at least gotten some sleep. I did forget that I didn't work today. I woke up and I'm like, oh, I still got time before work. And I'm like, no, it's Saturday. There is no work. You don't have to worry about it. Oh my God. That's what I get for working on a paper until 11. And then waking up at 4. Actually, what did I do yesterday? Worked on my paper till 11-ish. And then, did I go right to bed? No, I don't think I did. Or I did. I don't remember. But I know I woke up at ridiculous times throughout the night, so. Before finally waking up at like 6-ish. And then, you know, felt very lazy and just didn't do anything for the rest of the morning. Till I had to. Which was kind of nice. I don't normally do that. ADHD messes you sleep. Ah, oh, that sucks, dude. I'm sorry. Oof. I can only imagine that. That just does not sound fun. I know when I was a kid, and no, I'm not saying that this compares in any way to your situation, Era. This is just me remembering how fucked up my sleeping used to be. So I found out later in life that I was basically a maladaptive daydreamer. Like I would have intense daydreams about stuff like music or stuff I read or whatever. And I could get so lost in my head, I could lose hours, literal hours of my life. And I loved going to bed, and I would always kind of like try to time it. so I could get the maximum amount of daydream out of the time I needed between, like, okay, if I go to bed at like 8:30, I can stay up until 10 and daydream without compromising my sleep, so I can wake up at like 6 or whatever it was for school. So I would do that. Probably not the healthiest way, but it was fun. I didn't know that the way I functioned with all the daydreaming I did was had an actual name for it. I just thought I had an overactive imagination. No, I just have a condition where I get really into my head. Um, it allows me to kind of like get lost in the scenarios of what I'm writing about, and I can really kind of focus and see the detail and hear the voices and map out the actions and everything. So it's really helpful there. Um, Unfortunately, I kind of get like a paralysis where I just can't, while I'm doing it, I can't really function. Like I have to like see through. I'm at my computer and I'm thinking about it and I'm sitting here with my fingers on the keys and maybe I'll type a couple of things, but not really. I have to see it in my head a few times and then I can write it. I can't write it while I'm seeing it. Not really. Those are very rare instances where I can, but those don't happen often. It's more like I saw it, and then immediately I started writing it after I saw it, not I'm seeing it and writing it at the same time. And you're a night owl. Ooh, dude. That sucks. I was more of a night owl when I was a teenager, I guess, and kind of in my 20s. But definitely after having my daughter, that died down a lot. There we go. Oh yeah, the night owl thing. Yeah, I used to be more in my teens and early 20s, and then that kind of died off, and especially died off after I had my daughter. And now I kind of will sometimes stay up, but if I do and I'm waking up early, it's not a good mix. I'll usually need a nap in the afternoon, and I hate doing that because then I wake up feeling weird. Sleep is a necessary thing, but you really have to think about like the impact of how you sleep and when you wake up and all that stuff. And for whatever reason, that's just not a skill you're taught until you're the one responsible for your own sleep. Go to the Titan's pit. Yes, exactly, Era. Exactly. I need to figure it out and change timed out to sent to the Titan pit. Okay, let's be real. If we're thinking about Attack on Titan, given the nature of it all, would it have been unrealistic to think that some sick twisted fuck captured a few titans and then like did the whole Colosseum thing where they um released the like fed prisoners to titans and shit? Like there has to have been some sick fuck out there that did it. There has to have been. There's no way there wasn't, given the history of that show. Like, there has to have been somebody who thought, let's capture a Titan and keep them for punishing prisoners. I would honestly be surprised if that didn't happen. Oh my god. Well, it was just an idea. It's like if you think about it, it's not out of the realm of possibilities. I mean, yes, they mentioned that Hanji capturing those Titans was a rare thing, but you know, they also didn't have their full history, so they didn't know that for sure. I wouldn't be surprised if that had happened. Like they'd capture a bunch of little titans, and you know, like little ones that wouldn't pose a danger to the general populace, and built a coliseum like thing, and would just like put the titans in there, like like the titan pit, and then just let the prisoners, you know, be eaten for the entertainment of the masses. Or maybe they dug an actual pit and put some titans in there and then just threw the prisoners in there. Because we know that in Marley, you're punished by being turned into a titan and thrown off a wall. So the fact they came up with that, but you know, they can't come up with the whole Colosseum idea or the Titan Pit idea. Yeah. I think it would be interesting to see if Titans were utilized. Like, I know they're mindless creatures, like that their only purpose is to find a shifter to then return to their normal state, for the purpose of preserving memory and stuff like that. But it's just so interesting to me that they were so underutilized as some sort of resource. Like, why not capture a bunch of them and use them to, like, I don't know, control, like population control, prisoner control, guard dogs even. Like, why were they so underutilized in that fashion? Just because they couldn't come up with a way to control them? Well, I mean, the only access to information they had is the alleged history of the island, but the alleged history of the island is very, you know, sparse and wrong. So, I don't know. Maybe they were. Maybe they were utilized more and they just stopped after a while. It would be quite... Now I'm getting an idea. So I'm like, what if, you know, what if that happened? Like, literally everything else stays the same except we have a Titan pit. That would be interesting. I don't know. I'm just really trying to figure out if it could even work. Like, I'm sitting here thinking, like, this would be a good plot. Like, nothing, like, everything else pretty much stays the same. So we have Titan Pit and Hanji goes crazy for it. Like, how else could Titans have been used? Just, you know, the guard dog thing's not a bad idea. Have them have them posted outside the gates or something. Use them as guards for the palace or whatever. I mean, part of me feels like that I don't know. You think about it, and there's so much underdeveloped in a way with Attack on Titan. It's like, okay, let's think about this for a second. The Survey Corps had existed pretty much as long as the island. And they'd had ODM gear, maybe not as long, but long enough. Okay. Why was there a huge ass population of Titans then? Well, the obvious conclusion would be that Marley kept sending more Titans over. Okay, well, then why after Aaron and Hanji came up with the Titan guillotine, did the population Titans suddenly stop? if Marley was regularly sending over Titans, why did it stop all of a sudden? And you can't say it's because, Reiner and Bertolt and them said to. No. Why would they do that? So either, it was just plot convenience of, oh, we have this new device. We got rid of all the Titans now. We were fine. Like, okay, but if they were such a finite thing, why did it take, like, they have Levi, who has over 50 confirmed kills on his own. Why didn't that put a dent in the population? If they're such a finite resource. It's just, they were allegedly a finite resource based on the fact that the guillotine was able to take out a majority of them, right? Well, all of them, it seems like, because they never really had Titan problems after that. So, what the fuck? The Survey Corps was meant to be the ones to kill the Titans. Yes, they were meant to go out, but while they were out, they were meant to kill the Titans. And everybody else was in the garrison and the MPs and all that were also trained. But yet, we still had this huge population of Titans that disappeared after what? Only after a few months of the guillotine thing? Okay, but if they were being sent over by Marley enough that they were a problem, why did Marley stop? Well, nobody can think of a reason for why Marley stopped. Which means Marley probably didn't stop. I don't know. It's just, because they even mention in the manga that eventually you stopped hearing the guillotine falling and that there was seemingly peace or whatever for a while. Like, there were no more Titans. There were so few Titans. There were no Titans now that's why they were able to ride straight to the beach. Because, a group of people would have attracted any Titans in the area more than the lone person standing in the guillotine. So, what the fuck? I don't know. If Marley stopped sending them, then that begs the question as to why would they stop sending more Titans? Because and that's true over 4 years between the time that they got the Titan population under control to when Eren declared war, I guess. I don't know. But they were waiting. That doesn't make any sense. It's like 4 years and no Titans? No, that doesn't sound right. So why'd they stop? And if they were sending them over, I don't know. It's just, there's just this problem where if the Titans were so finite, why did the Survey Corps struggle so hard? Especially once they got Mikasa and Levi. There should have been no struggle once those two were on the same team. None. They should have just, Levi alone should have just obliterated the fuck out of the population. And then when Mikasa came, then they should have really made sure that there was no Titan population. But for whatever fucking reason, they were not powerful enough to do that. But the Titans were still a problem. They persisted. And it's just odd, I guess, to me. Because we know the Smiling Titan had been there for a long time. At least 13-ish years. More than that. Much more than that. Well, yeah. At least 13. 18. Almost 20 years. The Smiling Titan had been there for 20 years. And you're telling me that in 20 years, they couldn't kill it? And I say that just from the moment that it happened, that the Smiling Titan was turned into the Titan, which was before Eren, but when Grisha was turned. And Grisha was turned, and that automatically gave him 13 years left. So the Smiling Titan lasted at least 13 years because Grisha apparently was only, got a lot of shit done in 13 years. So that's that 13 years. Eren was 10 by the end of those 13 years. And then we see Eren again at like the Smiling Titan and Eren interact again at 15. So, 13 plus 5 is 18. So that's why I say roughly 20 years. It's like, and in that whole fucking time, no one could kill the Smiling Titan. What the fuck use are any of them then? If they couldn't kill Titans that had been there for 20 years. What the fuck? And you can't say it's because, they were eluding or whatever. She wasn't, the Smiling Titan was not an abnormal Titan. It didn't move weird. It followed instruction. It did what it was supposed to do. But yet, it lived for so long. Why? Why? There's something so contradictory about the nature of Titans and Attack on Titans. Like, I get them being a problem. That is a thing. But it seems they're only a big problem when it's plot convenient, which I hate. I'd rather stick to the whole consistency thing. Like, okay, we don't have to make Titans a big issue in the time between the guillotine being developed and the 4-year time span. But we still should, have some acknowledgement that Titans persisted in some way. Because we're not getting that. What we're getting is Hanji's device killed all the Titans and therefore no more Titans showed up. No, there should have constantly been Titans showing up. Because that either implies that they were a finite resource to begin with, or that Marley is no longer no longer transforming people. But then that begs the question, with a finite resource, why did the Survey Corps suck so bad, even after they got their advantages? Or why did Marley stop sending or turning people into Titans on a whim? Because they were obviously sending enough that it was a problem for 100+ years on the island. Okay. But now suddenly it's not a problem? No. That's some bullshit right there. At least as far as I'm concerned. That's just, that's not right. There's something wrong there. I don't buy it. I hate saying that because I love the show so much. But at the same time, it's like, you kind of need to think this through a bit. I don't know, what do you guys think? Do you think it's the Survey Corps being, like incompetent, like more incompetent than the garrison? Because it seems like there was enough Titans to go around. Or do you think it's plot convenience? Or do you think Marley stopped turning people? Like, what do you guys think about the whole Titan thing? Because to me, it screams plot hole. And it could have easily been fixed by them saying that get monetized. I appreciate that. I do not have enough watch hours for that, though. I don't even have 1,000 watch hours that you're supposed to have. You're supposed to have so many subscribers, so many videos posted every 90 days, and then so many watch hours. And I'm not there yet. I would love to let you super chat. I would absolutely love that. I just can't get monetized right now. It sucks. I would love it. What's your Cash App? You don't have Cash App. I have Patreon. That's about all I got right now. And my Patreon's linked on my bio on my page, so you can go there. Or just go to Patreon and search my name. I'm sorry. I apologize. Oh, and now I'm out of tea. That's disappointing. What are my thoughts on Lord of the Rings? The books or the movies? Movies. Well, technically Lord of the Rings is just a movie. It's just called the trilogy. Books. Oh. Tolkien is awesome. I feel like it's you have to really be into it to read it, because it just can be Tolkien writes very descriptively. He's very keen on description and making you understand everything, like what's going on in the world and all that. So you have to be the right kind of person in the right kind of mood and just willing to bear with Tolkien for a while. I love it though. Like, it's really good. Yeah, he is wordy, and I admit that, like, getting through The Hobbit when I was 12 was difficult just because of how wordy it was, and I felt like I was missing so much and I had to pay attention to so many words, but it was really worth it. It's a very good book. And in comparison, you read like C.S. Lewis, and he gets his point across with fewer words. So and funnily enough, C.S. Lewis and Tolkien were best friends. So you have they both wrote fantasy, and they both had their own way of doing it. Like, Tolkien went and made this huge entire world in his own languages and all sorts of things. Then you have C.S. Lewis, who's just like, I'm gonna stick a lamppost in the middle of a winter wonderland, and we're gonna let chaos happen. And that was Lewis. That was Lewis's whole premise. And it was a bet. Tolkien bet him that you can't write an entire plot around a lamppost. And C.S. Lewis went and bet. And now we have Chronicles of Narnia. But yes, they were best friends. And they made characters based off, I can't remember who's based off of whom, but I know that they each put a representative of their, like, Tolkien has a character that's supposed to be C.S. Lewis, and C.S. Lewis has a character that's supposed to be Tolkien. Can't remember who's who for each one, but you know, they did that. They let each other cameo in their works and stuff. It's pretty cool. Oh yeah, it's friggin' sweet. I really love it. I think it's so cool to realize that the authors we love interacted with each other. Like, it wasn't just, they weren't just isolated to their own world. They actually interacted, and they had friendships and relationships and everything like that. Like, finding out that I know Hans Christian Andersen and Charles Dickens are involved in the story. I can't remember who was who, but I think Hans Christian Andersen got a bad review, and he deliberately passed out or like collapsed in the yard of Charles Dickens, and like basically bitched about the whole negative review there, and he wouldn't leave. And then you come to find out that Anderson was an unwanted guest of Dickens. Like, Dickens had been trying to get Anderson to leave for a very long time, and he wouldn't. And I'm just like, you wouldn't think, but they interacted, and it's so cool to read that stuff. That's fucking up, right? I know. So if you ever feel bad about a critique that you get on something, just remember that Hans Christian Andersen threw a fit in Charles Dickens' front yard over one bad review. And it wasn't even like a bad critique. It was just like one line in the whole critique that he didn't like. And he just threw himself down on the ground and threw tantrums. If you aren't that dramatic, then you're good. It's okay. It's absolutely fine. Yeah. I love it. I just love that type of lore, to find out that stuff. Like, you find out Tolkien had beef with... Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. You're awesome. But anyway, going back to what I was saying, you find out Tolkien had a personal beef with the Beatles. He didn't like their music, and he made it like his mission to denounce them. It's like, Tolkien was alive for the Beatles. That type of lore is really fun to learn. History lore about people that you like authors and stuff. Yeah, like, I had no idea that Hans Christian Andersen and Dickens were friends and grew up, like, existed at the same time. Like, what? And Tolkien, I never thought existed at the same time as the Beatles, but yeah, apparently existed at the same time. It's like, a lot of people don't know that Dr. Seuss started out as a political cartoonist, and that he wrote Green Eggs and Ham on a Bet, and that he actually didn't like children. He just wrote the children's books because that's the only people who would buy his books are children. So that's another bit of lore that probably just ruined somebody's childhood. But, you know, there's a reason my daughter doesn't really read a lot of Dr. Seuss. And plus, I've read Dr. Seuss. And even as an adult, I'm reading it and I'm like, this shit sucked when I was a kid, and it sucks more as an adult. I read The Grinch Who Stole Christmas, and that is such a shit novel that I can see why people prefer to watch the movie, any of the movies, to reading that book. Because that book is so, like, I read it with my daughter last Christmas or the Christmas before. It just sucked. Like, people revere this man, this author, for what? Like, this sucks. Like, and then Cat in the Hat is not so great. Green Eggs and Ham, it's like, apparently this guy just can't take a no. One Fish, Two Fish now is a show, and was just a fun little counting kind of game. Counting kind of book, timing and all that. So, fun, I guess. I don't know. It's just, you read it, and it's like the only book people seem to want to really quote for him for is like, oh, the places you'll go. And that's what everybody gets on graduation. And it's like, this is dumb. Please stop. This is just the dumbest tradition to perpetuate, because why? You're giving a person going to college a book about, oh, how far they'll make it in life. And it's like, well, if you weren't encouraging them to make it in life before now, they probably aren't going to make it far. You should have been, you know, doing this more and trying to encourage them. Just like, I don't know. That whole thing always rang hollow to me. I like hearing about stories like their parent went around to all their teachers and had the teachers write them something encouraging down in a book or whatever and gave it to them, or did the same thing with relatives, and it's more meaningful, I guess. Whereas, you know, a book like that might not be that great. At least I wouldn't be keen on getting a book like that. I'd rather get a book I'd actually want to read. But that's why I now pay for books. That's why I now pay and pick my books that I want to read, because I don't have to rely on other people for books. I do remember a lot of books when I was a kid that I liked that were like mythology based or fairy tale based. Like I loved reading different versions of Cinderella. I think I've told these stories, but for new people, there are two that stand out to me of these, well, two or three that stand out that are different versions of Cinderella. There's one that's Native American where three sisters want to marry this essentially like the sky god, I guess. I don't remember his name. I just remember that he was like in the sky. Like so the whole idea is that the sisters go, each one of them dressed, well, the first one goes dressed in everything that's the best, and then they have to go meet the sister of the god and talk and answer three questions, and she obviously answers wrong, and is rejected. Second sister goes and less fine things, but still really nice, and is asked the same questions and cannot answer any of them, so she's also rejected. Then the third daughter goes, and the thing about the third daughter is she had been forced to tend the fires as a child, and so she had severe burns on her arms and on her face and on her neck, so she wasn't the most appealing, but she really was. But they had to make kind of a reason why nobody would think she would be desirable, whereas her other two sisters were very beautiful. So she goes and she's dressed in not the best things. Like she's wearing scraps of animal hide, and she's wearing, what always stuck out to me was she was wearing birch, like the ones that peel like paper, on her feet. Like they were her wrappings on her feet and on her arms, and her moccasins had holes and all sorts of things. Like she was not the most presentable basically, but she wore it proudly. And so she goes to the god's sister, and she's asked the three questions and she answers them correctly. Like the one that always stuck out to me was, what does the god use as his bow? And she goes, oh, the mighty rainbow. And then there's a picture of him in the sky with drawing an arrow while holding a rainbow like a bow. And it's like, that's so cool. That's just so cool to me. And of course she answered them correctly, so she got to marry the god. And because she was so pure of heart, like pure and kind of heart, because that's the only kind of people that could see the god, he repaired her skin and brought out her outer beauty that matched her inner beauty. So she was it was realized that she was the most beautiful of the three sisters. Another one is an African version of Cinderella, which I really liked. It's about two sisters, and the oldest sister is obviously vain and wants to be a queen, and the younger sister is very sweet and modest and just is content to stay where she's at. She enjoys tending her garden to the point that even animals will come and hang out there, and she names them and she interacts with them. And like when the story starts, her newest acquisition is this cute little green snake, and it's announced that this king wants a queen. And so the two sisters, like their father is like, oh, we will present both of my daughters and they will have an equal chance. Well, the oldest sister didn't want to wait. She wanted to immediately become queen and not risk losing out to her sister. So she goes through, and there are 3 trials you're supposed to face, and she of course fails all 3. So by the time she gets to see the king, it's not going well for her. The younger sister goes when she's supposed to with her father and their village, who are supposed to present her as their contender for his bride. And she passes the trial. Actually, she passes the first trial. And because she passed the first trial, the second and third really don't happen the same way for her as they did for her sister. So then when she gets to the kingdom, she finds her sister, who is horrified because she says there is no king, there's just this horrific monster. And she's begging her little sister, don't go in, you'll die, and blah, blah, blah. Well, little sister's like, well, I don't think that's going to happen. but let me just double check and make sure we're all safe. So this girl risks her fucking life to go into this throne room to see if there's this giant monster that her sister just told her was there. And no, lo and behold, sitting on the throne was her little green snake friend. And little green snake friend transformed into giant handsome king, and he married her. And then the sister got to be part of the household. So there's that one. I love that one. I love both. I love all three of these, but that one stands out just because of like the slight pettiness at the end. And the third one is an Indian version, not Native American, but Indian, like from India. This girl has, it starts out traditional Cinderella with, combined household, 2 older stepsisters, younger, mistreated sister, and she finds, instead of a fairy, like a fairy godmother, she gets a little jar, which I think is supposed to have a djinn in it. And she's so polite to it, and she says, "Oh little jar in my hand, I am so hungry." And so it gives her food. Or, "I would love to go to the ball, but I don't have, like, not a ball, but you know what I mean. I would love to go, but I have nothing to wear." So it makes this it starts spewing out this beautiful material, and she's able to make a dress out of it. Well, what's really interesting is the Cinderella part of it doesn't really happen till like almost the end, because at this point, after she goes to the party, she meets the prince. She falls in love, like he knows who she is, and he plans to marry her. Like, it actually, like, is gonna happen. It's not one of those, oh, we're gonna wait and see, or we have to wait to the end. No, it's middle of the story. They're getting married. They're planning the wedding and everything. Well, the older sisters are, very jealous. And they find the little jar that our Cinderella character has. And they wish for a way to stop her, because they don't want her to marry this man and get what they think they deserve. So what they get is, so the jar heats up. This is important. The jar heats up, and as the wish is being granted, and the older stepsister is surprised, because yes, it warms up normally, but she didn't know that. So she drops it. She drops the bottle, and in it, like when it shatters, what's left behind are 7 pearl tipped hair pins, and they use pins on Cinderella, and they say, "We're gonna do your hair for your wedding," okay? And as they're doing her hair, they're poking these things into her head, basically. And as a result, it transforms her into a dove. So Cinderella is now transformed into a dove, and the wedding is obviously called off because they think Cinderella's gone missing. And the king, prince, whatever, representative, is very distraught. And the sisters keep trying to convince him to marry one of them, but he's too distraught because he was so in love with her, with Cinderella, that he refuses to leave his room. His only companion is this dove that sits on his balcony with him, and he talks to the dove. And one day, he works up the nerve to touch this little dove because it's been his friend, and he wants to show some compassion and be nice to it. So he starts stroking its neck because it's a very odd dove. It lets him be near it and doesn't fly away. And that's when he feels little bumps on the poor dove's neck. Well, being the kind person that he is, he checks it out, and he sees that it has a bunch of pins in it. He's horrified. He thinks this poor bird has been in pain this entire time and just was too polite to say anything, basically. So he starts pulling out the needles very carefully. He's got it in his hand, and he's just being very nice to it. When he pulls out the last one, big plume of smoke, and Cinderella's right on his balcony. And it all ends happily with them getting married. So, as you can tell, I really enjoyed those. If I remember them 25 or more or less years later, Um, I really love reading familiar stories with different kind of interpretations. Like that, like right there, I just gave you 3 different types of Cinderella stories. I've not read any, you know, like I've read Beauty and the Beast, I've read different versions, but it's still like the same-ish version. Just not like the original one has evil, like not evil stepsisters, but wicked older sisters, wicked jealous sisters. And then we have the one that's Disney, where it's still the same premise, but you know, no siblings or anything, no proposal every night, stuff like that. And then there's one I read called The Rose Daughter, which basically, you know how everybody who watched the Disney one was disappointed she got the prince instead of the beast that she fell in love with? Well, the Rose Daughter fixes that. She gets the beast at the end instead of the prince. It's very funny. Like, it's a very sweet book. I love it. I think I've read it like 3 times. And I don't often do that. I've read it 3. It's just so funny because you're like, oh, this is going to end like this. And then you're like, no, it ends with her getting the beast and living in this cute little rose cottage instead of living in this big grand castle. So she lives in a little rose cottage. And her family's well taken care of because her one sister marries the Duke's youngest son, and the other marries like I can't remember, like a baker or something, like, and then her father is well provided for because of her sisters, and he's got a new business going. Like, things prosper. It ends very well for a fairy tale. Like, it ends semi-realistically. So, you know, I recommend that book. I would love to see somebody make a movie of that because it's so different. But, you know, that won't happen. It's really sad that we don't have more interpretation. Like, okay, you want to remake Cinderella? Do it, but do one of the 3 versions I just listed. What's wrong with one of those? You can even draw it out, make it long. Like, there's more to do with it. You want to do Cinderella? Okay. Or you want to do Rapunzel? Okay, well, do a different version of Rapunzel. Like, why does it have to be the one that we have from Disney? Same with Beauty and the Beast. You could do like, there was a Beauty and the Beast is based off of real people. No, it was not a real beast, but it was a man with a condition where he grew hair all over his body, thick, coarse hair. They thought he was a beast. They were very disappointed to find out he was not, but they didn't know that. And they paired him up with this very lovely little French noblewoman, and they had a very loving marriage, very beautiful marriage. They hadn't met prior at all, so it was completely arranged, and they ended up falling in love, and they had several children. Unfortunately, their daughters were taken away from them because the daughters had the same condition as the father, and they were taken away to then be used as some kind of beast army. They weren't. But that's where the whole idea of the beast being this, you know, very demure, very tame kind of princely figure is because it's based on this gentleman whom they found as an oddity, thought he was a beast, and thought they could civilize him. And there was nothing to civilize. He was a man the whole time. But, you know, that's where they got the idea for Beauty and the Beast, was this real person and his wife who loved each other very much. So I always thought that was great, and I would love to see something done on them, like the actual people who inspired it, not just documentaries, like the actual, like, don't show me a documentary, make a movie about it. Show me that. Little Mermaid, do the real Little Mermaid. That one. Don't do the Disney version, do the real one. Like, there's so many possibilities, and yet no one is keen on doing any of them. Hollywood wants to keep cranking out used, abused IPs. Well, at least spice it up a little bit. Let the fucking Little Mermaid die at the end. Why not? Make it a dark movie for the adults. You don't have to make it all for children. Adults watch movies too. Adults probably watch movies more than kids do, because kids will put a movie on and wander off. Adults will put a movie on and generally will watch it. Just saying. But anyway, my lovely little Titans, thank you so much for joining me. I loved seeing all the new people. I hope everybody has a great night, a great week, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye, everybody.